Okay, friends, let's take a look at lesson 11-2, multiplication as scaling. For this activity, you're going to compare the two parts of the expression. And the directions say to do that without multiplying the two numbers. Okay, so now you guys continue on. Like I said, I only want to see some kind of thinking or justification for numbers 1 through 5. And then the rest you can compare. Just as a general rule of thumb, well, I won't say that. I'll just let you work it out. Okay, good luck and let me know if you need me. So for number 1, we need to decide if 2.5 times 3 2/3 is less than or greater than 3 2/3. Now we don't need to multiply these two amounts to know that 2.5 times 3 2/3 is of course going to be greater than 3 2/3. So I can just put the greater than symbol here in the box. Now the way you can justify that is to say 2.5 is close to 3 and 3 2/3 is close to 4. And 3 times 4 is 12. 12 is, of course, quite a bit greater than 3 2/3. So for questions 1 through 5, I do want you to show some justification for the symbol that you chose. And then for the rest of them, you can just put in the symbol without showing any work. Let's look at number 2. 1/3 times 9 2/5 is either going to be less than or greater than 9 2/5. So the way I want you to visualize this is draw a rectangle to represent your problem, and we're going to label the dimensions of our rectangle, just the way you would with any kind of multiplication problem. So the long side is going to be 9 2/5, and the short side is going to be 1/3. So you can imagine, since the short side is less than 1 whole, if we were to continue it to show 1 whole, we'd have to have another 2 groups of 1/3 to make it that much bigger. Okay? So this part here, our 1/3, let me get rid of the other parts that are not really there. There we go. Okay, so we are going to figure out 9 2/5 times 1/3. And without multiplying, we should know that that's going to be bigger than 9 2/5. So for number 2, we'll use the greater than symbol. Okay, let's look at number 3 and talk about what we mean when we say multiplication as scaling. So when we talk about multiplication as scaling, what we want you to understand is that when you multiply 4/5 times 4 2/3, we're taking a piece of 4 2/3. So we're going to take a piece or a portion of this amount. Essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take 4/5 of 4 2/3. And that amount is, of course, going to be less than 4 2/3 because we're only taking a piece of it. So if we represent that with a tape diagram, let's make 4 2/3 first. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1/3 and 2/3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1/3 and 2/3. Okay, now we're going to take 4/5 of that. Now this is just estimating. I'm going to take the same area as my 4 2/3, and I'm going to cut it into 5 equal pieces because I have my denominator 5 here. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then I'm going to shade 4 of them because I want 4/5 of 4 2/3. So here's 1/5 of 4 2/3, 2/5, 3/5, and 4/5. And I'm going to just extend these lines up to show. Okay, so this portion here is approximately 4/5 of 4 2/3. So that is going to be less than 4 2/3. We're taking a piece of 4 2/3.